And fresh off the call of their of this 49ers huge win over the Steelers, I'm now joined by our NFL on Fox broadcast team of Joe Davis and Daryl Johnston. And guys, I feel crazy for what I'm about to ask you, because we know that the 49ers are a good team, but to see Brock Purdy look this comfortable this quickly, does it raise your expectations for this team even a little bit?
I don't know. It certainly validates them, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say that that's a better word, not elevates, but validates, because he did the same thing in that Miami game last year. We called that Miami game, and when he walked into that situation, and it was just easy for him. No panic, no struggle, confidence, and when you talk to people, that's who he is all the time. So I think Joe said it perfect. It validates, who Brock Purdy is as a leader and a quarterback for the Niners.
This is a pet question just for me, but look, we know all about Christian McCaffrey. We know about George Kittle and Deebo Samuel, but in Pittsburgh, it was Brandon Aiyuk really stepping up. What does it do for this offense? What does it do for Brock Purdy, as if he needed more weapons? Brandon Aiyuk really coming up and kind of announcing himself as, hey, I'm pretty good in my own right here.
Yeah, Dave, I was saying earlier in the game, it's like we talk about McCaffrey and we talk about all these other guys, and there's good reason for that, but Aiyuk's flying around somehow under the radar as really their top receiver.
Yeah, I love his path to this point in his career as well. He was in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse for a couple of years and just kept grinding and keep working. Had a career year last year and didn't rest on that. Came into training camp, and everybody said, by far, the MVP on the offensive side at training camp. So he carried that over into week one. So a lot of hard work by Brandon Aiyuk to get to this point.
One more, and then I'm going to get y'all out of here. There was a lot of hype on this Steelers team, and I know it's just week one, but they run into a buzzsaw here. It's not normal to see a Mike Tomlin team lose by 20-plus points. Should we be overreacting to this? Is this just wrong place, wrong time? What kind of sense do you get about the Steelers and where they're at after this game?
That's what we do week one, right? We got to overreact.
Exactly.
I think it's a combination. I think that there was a lot of things that San Francisco did well, but there's a lot of things that Pittsburgh did poorly. And that'll be the line that Coach Tomlin walks, is he's got to show where, hey, this is San Francisco, but this is us. But this shouldn't be us. This is not us. This is not who we want to be. But that's who we were against the San Francisco 49ers. You can't go up against a team as talented as San Francisco and have the mistakes that they had today. You have to make that team beat you. You can't contribute in any way whatsoever to helping San Francisco make this game easy.
Really, really impressive win for the 49ers. Guys, thanks so much for your time. Safe travels. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
I think Moose's word choice corrected me perfectly for this matchup, because it truly does validate everything we thought we knew about the San Francisco 49ers coming into this game. There's really one question, and it's what's Brock Purdy going to look like after an offseason away from getting reps, building upon an impressive half of a rookie year? Well, the early returns are in, and they look pretty damn good. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29 for 220, 2 touchdowns. Oh, and why not throw in 3 carries for 21 yards on the side? It's just enough elusiveness, just enough scramble ability. Are those words? I'm not sure. But Brock Purdy continues to look like the guy that we remember from last fall. And that's the beauty of it for this Niners team. They're constructed to win now. They don't need an all-pro quarterback. They need a guy who can dump it off to the open man. And knowing Kyle Shanahan, there's going to be a few. What I love about the stat line from this game, obviously, we talked about it with Moose and Joe. Brandon Aiyuk is the guy that steps up here, but it's not like Brock Purdy was even winging the ball around to all these different options. He only threw the ball to 5 different receivers against Pittsburgh. Brandon Aiyuk does the majority of the work. Sprinkle in some Deebo. George Kittle didn't even have 20 yards in this game. That is the devastating effect of the stars on this 49ers team. I do want to point out, Purdy was sacked 3 times by this Steelers pass rush, including a near turnover at the hands of TJ Watt. Remember, Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle in Pittsburgh, is now the right tackle the right tackle for the 49ers last year. He's now the right tackle for Denver. So Trent Williams is great. We know all that. I am going to be curious to watch this Niners offensive line as we go, but we're picking nits here, obviously. I mean, you win 30-7 in a game with a 2.5-point spread. The defense looked like the defense. Fred Warner picked right up where he left off. We know he's the best linebacker in football, and I would still submit that he might be the most underrated player in the NFL relative to fan expectation, relative to how many jerseys he sells. Kenny Pickett throws 2 interceptions, gets sacked 5 times. Nick Bosa did not look like a guy who didn't have a training camp. So sure, it's week 1. We're not going to overreact too far in either way. But if 49ers can do this to the Steelers, I think they're in for a heck of a season, as we might have guessed. Their next game is against the Rams. Steelers, I'm not writing you off just yet, but as an AFC team, I would like to point out that it's not going to get a ton easier when you look at the schedule. Week 2, home against the Browns. All of a sudden, if you paid attention to what happened with the Browns earlier today, that game doesn't look like a walk in the park. This is life in the NFL. Kenny Pickett has plenty of reason to still be excited. We're not writing anybody off after 1 week, but this 49ers team is a buzzsaw. The only thing we didn't know was Brock Purdy, and guess what? He still looks like he's going to be just fine. I think we can count on the 49ers being there as we inch toward the end of the season, although that is still a long way away. But Niners, sorry if I doubted you. Sorry if I didn't sound effusive enough in my praise. They're still the real deal.